I'm Lynn with Captivate, which is now a part of Publicis Group, and I have the pleasure and honor to be here today with Jen Wilson, the CMO of Lowe's, which I'm extra excited to interview, being a long-time Lowe's customer.
Thank you, Lynn.
So we'll kick it off to you. How are you feeling as we get into Cannes so far?
Listen, I'm thrilled to be here. This is actually my first Cannes. So, been to Cannes on personal trips.
Okay.
My first for this event, Cannes Lion, and I'm just thrilled to be here. We've got some big news that we're launching with Lowe's while we're here this week, and seeded the market last week. So look forward to what's ahead for the whole week.
Okay. So we're going to talk so much about what's happening in the marketing world, but before we do that, I'm dying to ask you this question, which is for everyone that's not here in Cannes, marketers, newer marketers, or maybe people who haven't even joined the workforce yet, and your background is amazing as a CMO, and they might be saying, to be a CMO one day, what is that superpower or that Swiss Army knife, if you will?
Yeah.
To own, to one day be able to be in a seat like yourself, and be a CMO?
Well, a couple things. The first that comes to mind is just being a continuous learner. I think when I think about what it takes to be in this seat today, it is that you've got to be a broad scanner and you've got to be looking around at all other business, aspects, not just your direct competitors. So in retail, it's not just exactly who we're competing against. It's others that inspire you. And I think what's beautiful about marketing is that we're all consumers, and therefore in some way we're all a marketer. And so my first advice would just be making sure that you're always looking around and paying attention to the experiences that you have as a consumer, because you can apply those every day in the marketing world. And the second thing I would say is, if you have a chance before you get into a seat of a marketing leadership role, run a P&L. Go to the business side, because I think anyone who has an understanding of what it takes to drive revenue, to be accountable for driving a bottom line and having to hit a number, will have a more improved and better appreciation for the role of marketing.
Being curious, but then also, to your point, we have to measure it.
And
right?
being practical.
It has to be accountable.
That's right.
So when we think about Lowe's, it's 100 plus years, legacy brand, so well known. How do you see that pulling through? And how do you see that as an advantage? And then how do you balance that based off the different audiences you might be reaching that might care?
Yeah.
Lowe's has a ton of credibility, and some, the newer generation might not have as much interest in that. How do you see the strategy coming through as it relates to Lowe's?
Yeah, well, so zooming out, when we think about our brand strategy at Lowe's, it's really all about helpfulness. We want to be the most helpful brand in home improvement. And for 100 years, we've been doing a lot of work in communities that we serve, really around our, what I would call our brand reputation of giving back to the local communities. We want to make local communities be better places to live and work. And that's something that's been a constant and the foundation of who we are for the last 100 years. So if a disaster strikes or a hurricane happens, right, we're the first to show up and to help those communities respond. And so that is kind of the spine of who we are.
Right.
And it's those associates, the Red Vest associates, who are actually the most well known for our brand. When you ask anecdotally or in qualitative research to consumers, when you think about Lowe's, what do you think about? And they say you're helpful, friendly associates. Exactly.
I can relate. So I rebuilt my home post Sandy, and I probably never walked into a Lowe's in a way in which I was actually going to do something to help rebuild my home for Sandy. And I would agree. It's like, how do you make it less intimidating?
That's right.
Right. And then we all know DIY became a thing. I feel like Lowe's makes you feel so comfortable that you do feel you can ask questions.
Well, I love to hear that. I love to hear that. But that is very on brand.
I mean, my husband was there with me, and it also made me feel comfortable.
But we skew more female customer. We are a more female-friendly brand. And so by design, we want it to feel very accessible and very approachable, our brand. And now, as we think about the future of where we're taking that sort of spine of our brand, it's now everything in service of helpfulness becomes, how do we use an AI agent to be able to be more helpful? So
I saw your Milo, right? I'm going to ask you about that.
And so that's about then helping the customer, but then we have Milo, a companion app, which is about helping our associates. So if we hire 300,000 customers, or rather associates every year that are in our fleet, and we're hiring some seasonal employees who are new into the space. How can they quickly get up to speed with being helpful and friendly? Well, this Lowe companion app can help them feel confident from day one when they put that red vest on.
So when you think about, I mean, Lowe's, it's so inspirational. It's about the inspiration. It's the new season. When you think about AI and you think about the feed, if you will, it's such a, Captivate, we run an influencer company, so we know how hard it is to grab attention. And we see such big differences in if it's a millennial or it's a Gen Z, you want it to be thumb-stoppable content, inspiration. At the same time, you don't want it to be disruptive. You want it to really fit into their journey. So how do you see the visual opportunity, the AI opportunity? How do you see that helping to really drive that loyalty and that adoption, which we don't always have with different younger generations?
It's a great question. When I think about the use of technology, emerging technology within our stores, it really is to go after that younger audience that you were talking about. So you're saying, hey, if you're a 100-year brand, how do you make sure you're true and authentic to who you are, but also start to think about new audiences? And so as an example, we have a great partnership with Apple where we have Apple Vision Pro, and you can come into some of our select stores and put those goggles on and have an immersive experience about understanding a kitchen, like envisioning your kitchen, which takes a lot of the guesswork out. Because then you can see a 3D real world kitchen and just start to flip through different looks of countertops and cabinets and design schematics. I also think about our app where we have the ability to envision a room by taking a snapshot of the room and then changing the look and being able to shop the products right there. And our creator network, which we're launching here in Cannes. I was just saying to somebody earlier today, I think scrolling is the new search. Right? So it's no longer search terms and the old way. It's now we go to bed scrolling, we wake up scrolling.
We need this now.
Yes, gotta have it now. And what's so beautiful about the creators who we want to pull into our network is that they are the truest form of creators. They're not just creating content. They're creating rooms, and they're creating gardens, and they're creating climbing walls in their kids' rooms. And that is, I think, the ultimate way of showing that a creator can not just curate, but they can build.
I mean, and you can go in that room, in that feed,
exactly,
and see it.
And live it and immerse yourself in it.
Yeah. So how do you see that evolving? Given you've taken an omni-channel approach, which is so important, right? You want to be everywhere. Do you see this point where it becomes a creator first approach and that content being created, brought to you, right? We're right there. We're in their home. We're seeing how, Chris Loves Julia, my first ever purchase many years ago was Chris Loves Julia, put up that tree, the tree that I wanted.
Love to hear it.
And I'm like, oh, I can see it now. I wasn't so sure, but I'm in your house. So how do you see that evolving as it relates to your overall media mix? Do you see creators first and influencers really powering that overall content approach?
I think so. I mean, that is the future of where we're going. Social commerce now is the everything kind of media consumption for millennials, Gen Zers, right, and even Gen Alpha. One of the things also that I see as an opportunity is moving that content to our .com site. And so in partnership with our .com team, think of a world where then you can shop the look right inside of the e-commerce experience versus it just being the influencer kind of sending you there to find it, or through their self-serve stores. How can we almost create a seamless experience for that content? And then I think the next evolution could be homeowners being creators. I mean, you can have true, authentic creators who have community and following, but then you can also have homeowners who are like, hey, I have my 1,000 people or 3,000 friends, and I'm proud of this room that I just developed, and I want to post this on Lowes.com.
And then you have milestones.
That's right.
The milestones, the life milestones are going to prompt you to go to Lowe's.
That's right.
It's spring,
it's new baby, it's spring,
And so talk to me about, I feel like there's a huge opportunity, and I've heard you talk about the loyalty program, and today it is so important to have those loyal customers. They're your advocates. The creators are your advocates, to your point. Those in the store are advocates, those with their homes. How do you see that tying in future state with all that's available to us? with your loyalty program, with AI? How do you see that evolving over time?
You know, I think we're aiming for sort of locking most of our either access or tools behind our membership program. You know, we want that to feel like an elite offering for our, you know, members who are joining at Lowe's. And so whether it's our My Lowe's home experience, where you can throw away all of your manuals for your refrigerator and just put it all right there into our dashboard. And so you can keep track of all of the appliances, when they expire, when you need a new, you know, a filter for your refrigerator. Yes, exactly. And I think where it's evolving too is for us to help homeowners understand how to take care of their home. And so that while today it's a loyalty platform proper, we're aiming for, that's what I call loyalty program, we're aiming for loyal behavior. And loyal behavior is us helping customers to understand it's time to seed your yard. It's time to fertilize your yard. It's time to change your air filter. Hey, your refrigerator needs a new filter. And it's not in the way that you might think of a competitive retailer who's just showing you your past purchase history and that it's been 30 days. It's us actually knowing your home data. Right. And understanding what your home needs and where you are with your climate, what local community you live in, what your likes are and dislikes are, so that we can really
true personalization
through the home, right?
Is there any particular brand outside of the category that we're in that you feel has gotten it right? They've really modernized that 360 experience. Is there someone that you're like, wow?
I wish I could tell you there is. I will tell you that I actually am so surprised at how many smaller brands I think do a better job of finding me in personalized ways and using dynamic creative content to pull me in. And the bigger brands I think are a little further behind. And so it's our objective at Lowe's to just accelerate there and to feel nimble. In this duopoly that I would say we're in home improvement, if we can be the more modern and emerging brand that's more relevant to Gen Zers and even now this up and coming Gen Alpha, it will give us a leg up.
I would agree. So let's say we come back here. Let's say you decide to come back year 2. What would we say next year that was the disruptive, innovative thing that you would be really happy was accomplished for Lowe's in this next year? You know,
I think one of the biggest, and you said it earlier, one of the biggest strategies that our team is working on now is a 360 connection with the customer. And I don't want us to forget about IRL. You know, we're all talking about AI and agentic and where all of this goes, which is critically important and so smart that we're, moving in this direction. But I also think nothing replaces human connection. And so we really want to be able to say that we've created end-to-end experiences that are consumer-centric, that feel like that when that baton's been handed off from whatever technology you've decided to use to the associate and then back to the customer, that when a consumer says, I go to Lowe's because fill in the blank, it's a wonderful experience. I want more things to be on that list of like, I go to Lowe's because their garden center is amazing and because, I can get anything delivered and I had a great experience end to end.
Right.
Versus just today, perhaps it's, I love to go to Lowe's because they have a great selection in their garden center. I want it to be end to end. And so that's what we're after over the next 365 days. So I hope when we're back, it's sort of, I've found you in your feed or I found you wherever you are. I'm even engaging with you in your children because what they think influences your purchase behaviors too. And then I'm giving you a wonderful end-to-end experience across the entire journey with the brand.
I can't wait to come back, and I know you will achieve that. So
well, thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn.